2, 3, funk it.
Now we're ready.
Say it like that. If I hate you, then find someone new. Baby, but you know I never will. No, so I choke you down just like a pill.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Kai and welcome back to episode 2 of Dartford Diaries. And firstly, I'd like to apologise for this absolute state of a mop that is sitting on my head right now. I'm not proud of it, and as soon as lockdown's over, it's definitely coming off. Cheers, N-Dog. And secondly, I'd just like to say a massive thank you for all the amazing support I got following the release of episode 1. It was quite overwhelming, actually. I really didn't expect it to do as well as it did, and I didn't expect everyone to get behind it like they did. So yeah, massive thank you to everyone for the love they gave on episode 1. Now, I got here bright and early. I think I was at the lakes about 5:30. It was still dark. I had a little walk around, nothing mental, you know, just see if I can find anything obvious, anything blatant, which there wasn't. I'll be quite honest with you. So basically, I've decided to come to where I last caught that fish. What I didn't mention in that video is that carp was actually part of a double take. Unfortunately, the other one did come off, but you know, they were obviously here on that day. The conditions aren't too dissimilar. I think it's a little bit colder today. It's definitely not as warm as it has been the past 2 weeks or so. Had some really nice weather a couple of weeks ago, but that seems to have disappeared for now. But yeah, I've seen a few this morning. I think I counted around 4 carp show. Now, the water the fish was showing in, I think it's around about 10-11 foot. And I know that chances are that those fish aren't on the bottom. So I've gone straight in with 2 zigs out into this open water area. I've just got one of those mainline ziggers on, as well as a little wedge. And then I've gone with the obvious rod, the left-hander, to that snag that I had 2 bites off of last time. It's a bit of a banker really this time of year. In fact, last year, roughly the same time as well, I actually landed a fish called Spike from more or less the same area. So I'll talk a little bit about that capture later on. But for now, I'm going to sit back, keep my eyes on the water and see if I can spot anything that leads to anything fishing. Well then, apologies for the footage. I can't imagine it's great, but we've just had another bite off the left-hander. The first one unfortunately lost, but I didn't want to dwell on it too much. Just wanted to get the rod back out there, and fortunately we've had another chance. It's not the biggest fish in the pond, but I tell you what, it's given me a proper scrap. Just goes to show, no matter the time of year, right spot, right time, it can always happen. Get in that net. Come on. Tell you what, that and half a scrap. There she is. Coming at the bottom of the landing net. Get in. Not that it matters, but this one went 19. Still got our winter marks. A bit of redness on the face and all of that. But yeah, well over the moon with this one. Makes all the effort getting up early and that all worth it. And let's hope that the next one that turns up is a biggie. Nevertheless, I'm not complaining. Lovely. Let's get her back.
Oh, you make me wanna talk back.
It's been a while since anything's happened. Other than that quick flurry of action this morning, it's been quite dead to tell the truth, especially on them zigs. I've got one on about, probably about 8 foot long, and one about 6, both in different areas, and neither have shown any indication or given me any signs of hope. Whilst everything was dead, I decided I'd check out my right hand margin. Whilst doing so, I noticed in amongst the sill and the debris, there's actually a lovely glowing spot, and that to me just screams carp. So what I'm going to do is bring in that right hand zig, switch it over to a pop-up and stick it on the margin. Now, talking of pop-up rigs, I'm using something that's actually not used very often at all, and that is the Ronnie rig. That seriously. Now, all jokes aside, I love this rig. You know, people say what they want about it, but I think when fished properly, it can be devastating. Ronnie rig or spinner rig, whatever you like to call it, is usually fished in conjunction with, you know, a helicopter setup, and it's usually associated with stiff booms. And I fish a little bit differently. I'm sure there's loads others that do exactly the same as this, but it's just the way I like to fish it, and I found it gives me the best results out of everything I've tried. Well, then, starting off at the business end, I actually use an ESP trig hammer hook. And the reason being, a lot of the fish in Dartford have hard mouths, and I've noticed with these hooks, they actually have a bit of a thinner wire gauge than a lot of hooks on the market. I just believe it drives in further and gives you better hook holds. Now, regarding, you know, assembling a bait, I just use a simple hook stop, just like everybody else, and I use a micro ring swivel. Reason being, I love the rotation of the hook bait. Just gives that extra bit of movement that I think lacks with using bait screws. Don't get me wrong, they're easier, but I don't think they give you as good movement. As I'm sure you'd expect, just got a little spinner swivel there and a bit of shrink tube to secure that in place. Something worth noting, a lot of people I know use the spinner swivel in a way where they don't cover up the barrel of the swivel, and it gives it this bit of movement, you know, it freely move up and down like the hook, and it's just a bit too flexible for my liking. And I've found that when you actually cover the barrel of the swivel, it just secures everything in place, and I've found in my experiences it gives me better hook holds. Now, like I mentioned, it's often associated with stiff booms and you know, similar fluorocarbon booms, that sort of thing. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with them, they all have their time and a place, but I much prefer fishing it with a supple braid. Reason being, I just believe that it gives the rig so much more movement, and as we've seen with the underwater films, so much boils down to the angle in which the fish actually enters the shot, picks up the hook bait. They come at the rig facing the point, 9 times out of 10 you've got a good chance of hooking it. If it comes in from the back of the hook, then I think that's where you cause your problems. With a supple boom, I don't think it matters what way the fish come in, because it's supple, you know, no matter what way they suck at it, it can fly at the back of their mouth. People worry about tangles when fishing, you know, supple hook links, but I always fish this with a mesh PVA bag of boilie, crumb, and, you know, little bits and bobs. You can do exactly the same with whatever you want to use, and that way you just ensure it never tangles. So that's enough for the rig. Let's get it out there and hopefully it nails us one of them big gels. While the action had dried up on the main lake, my old man who was fishing behind me on the smaller Lake Baldwins was carving them up with 4 bites in 30 minutes, including a triple take. This mirror was the pick of the bunch, however, with stunning starburst markings and apple slice scales. Would you guys be interested in a video of the smaller lake in the future? Let me know in the comments section down below, or on my Instagram, which should be on the screen about now. More time passed without a main lake bite. In fact, I landed a couple of tench that stemmed from casting to shows. Other than the couple of tench and massive bee that appeared from God knows where, nothing else happened, so we packed up and went home, already raring to get prepping for the next session, episode 3. I'll see you in the next one.